women now, girls, rule my world. She said they rule my world. Yeah. At your age, not your shoes, not your shoe size. Maybe we can do the twirl. You don't have to walk down the street to have an attitude. Yeah. Oh, just give it all up to me, my love. Be no fool. Yeah. You don't have to be rich to be my girl. You don't have to be cool. No matter what, ain't no particular sign I'm more compatible with. I just want kiss. Oh no. Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no. Thank you so much. Desmond Whitney right there on bass, everybody. Wachiro Wagwastone on drums. Thank you all so much. Thank you.
We're so blessed to have these guys with us. So grateful. How you feeling? Yeah? Sure? You ready for a little blasphemy? Okay. I'm going to rock your world, as they say. You're a little bit too excited about that, I think. I don't know what that means to you. I was speaking strictly in spiritual terms. So, no, I wanted to look at an idea today that is wonderful. And I was prompted by a wonderful story. And the story is that a kerfuffle had broken out in the forest. And what had happened, apparently, was Silver Fox said to the jaybird, "I'm the happiest creature in the forest." Of course, Jaybird said, "Oh, there's no possible way. I'm the happiest." And of course, before too long, Skunk comes along and says, "Wait a minute, I am." And before you know it, within just a matter of weeks, there was a great discussion and dissension and chaos breaking out across the forest about who was the happiest creature. So in all situations like this, where wise counsel is needed, they went to wise old owl. And they put it forth to the wise old owl, "Decide amongst us, who is the happiest creature?" And the wise old owl said, "I hate to tell you this, but the wisest creature is not even in our midst. He hasn't got here yet." They said, "How can that be?" He said, "Because the wisest creature, or the happiest creature, is old tortoise." They said, "How can that be?" And he says, "Because if you think about it, no matter where tortoise goes, no matter what comes up, no matter what situations arise, he always carries his house with him." So I've been thinking about this. What house do we carry with us? You see, I think so often what we tend to do as human beings is to look at this idea that our greater good lies outside of us. And that if we could only get the right mate, the right job, the right living situation, the right something, then we can experience our joy and our understanding, and life is blissful. The problem that I have found with that strategy is it's really hard to get the mate to cooperate. They just keep acting like them, right? Or other situations may occur, I don't know. Right? But we're looking at this idea about the interconnectedness of life. That everything is interconnected. We have a kinship with everything. The fundamental teaching that we come from is there's one life, one power, one presence, one God, whatever you choose to call that infinite being, and that we are all some part of it. And so if that is so, then we all say, yeah, I agree, right? I agree. Everybody believe that? Yes, of course we believe that. Then why do we act differently? Right? So I was looking at this idea. There's an interconnection between all of life, that everything is interacting with everything else. I was reminded of Amit Ray, who's my new guru, I think. He said, we're all so deeply interconnected. We have no option but to love all, to be kind and do good to anyone, and that will be reflected. The ripples of the kind heart are the highest blessings of the universe. The ripples of the kind heart are the blessings of the universe. So if we are one, then we are one with all. Now, I don't know if anybody's noticed, but there's a political dialogue going on around us right now. And I, if I'm not careful, can find the other and judge them and close my heart. So, somebody reminded me after the first service that it is reported that Ram Dass used to keep a picture of Dick Cheney on his altar. Right? Because he wanted to be in the practice of oneness. Another friend of mine said that was given the assignment to get to oneness, to fulfill practitioner training, was given the assignment to pray for Saddam Hussein and his family at the height of what was going on in Iraq. You see, we love the idea of oneness unless you annoy us. And then we go into two-ness right away, right? This and that, me and them, right? And so if we're not careful, we allow that to move into our thinking. We allow that to move into our expression of how we show up in the world. We even can be guilty of allowing that to show up in our metaphysics. Oh, you say, no, we're all enlightened. We're on a path. We're moving forward. So here's the blasphemy. I'm not sure that I believe in the law of attraction. There is no secret. Ha-ha, there. I got to get all this out before I retire, right? So let me talk to you about what I mean by that. You see, even sometimes in our metaphysics, as we're speaking of the law of attraction, we're coming at it from a place of want or of need. And we say, I don't have my greater good, therefore I'm going to attract it into my experience. You with me on this? Ooh, I know. See if there's any other sacred cows I can kill while I'm at it here. Ernest Holmes said to us, all nature shows a divine relatedness. I have but to contemplate a blade of grass, the growing leaf, and the solar system to see the one who created me has shaped and arranged all things to exist in harmony. He also helped us to understand that when we are aware of our true spiritual nature, of our divinity, of our inherent oneness with all, then truly there's nothing outside of ourselves. There's nothing that is reflected in our life that isn't some aspect of who we are. I often use the analogy of that life is a mirror for us. And when we look out at the mirror, when I look into the mirror, I see some beauty and love and joy and harmony. And I also see places of darkness and anger and hurt and pain. And I realize that I'm the one looking. I'm the one looking. I'm the one perceiving. I'm the one experiencing reality. And very often what I discover is I find what I am looking for. So I have blessed souls in my life that show up for me to help me remember who I am and what I believe. Sometimes they do that by pushing my buttons. I know, it seems so rude. Here I am just putting my button out there to the world and they pushed it. How dare them? So I want to suggest to you that there's another approach to looking at this. Because even in our law of attraction, if it's coming from an understanding of lack and limitation, we're still trying to overcome something. Right? So I was reflecting on this. I've been in prayer and meditation, looking at who I am and what's going on and my next yet to be and what's happening in our center and all of these wonderful things that are taking place. Looking at the world around us. And again, I'm not unaffected by what happens in our political discourse. I watch over and over how the fundamental message is, it's them, not us. Get rid of them and we'll be okay, right? All that kind of stuff. Doesn't matter where you fall on the spectrum. It's all kind of that fear-based otherness idea. But what the world is calling us to understand is there is but one. And we are all divine aspects of it. And that we can come together in greater peace and understanding and joy as we celebrate the uniqueness of everyone. As we celebrate our inherent divinity. So I was thinking about this idea. You know, there's a wonderful book. Many of you have read it. It's written a number of years ago by Deepak Chopra. And it's called The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. Many of you have read it, right? If you haven't, it's one of those that's not a bad one to keep on your library, right? And what he talks about is these principles that we want to manifest. And the first one he talks about is understand the law of pure potentiality. You see, all of us that have had some cosmic awakening have had some realization that we're more than these bodies. We have bodies, thank you, but we're more than the body. There's a spirit within us that is housed by the body, and when the body is no longer necessary for our journey, we lay it down and we move on to the next experience. We were never the body. I always talk about it, it's like going to the rental car agency. You know, they give you a car, it transports you for a while, but you turn the car back in. Same thing with this thing called life on the planet. So those of us that have had some degree of awakening realize that I'm not bound by this physical body. I'm not bound by the circumstances and situations of my life. I'm just having them and they're a reflection for me. So he talks about this idea that we're part of pure potentiality, that we're essentially energetic beings, that we're one with the spiritual essence, and spirit is having its experience of itself through us. So that's cool, right? That says, I'm an unlimited being. Yay, us. So get on with it. Why are you experiencing problems if that's who you are? Huh? Why am I? Because I forget that I'm pure potentiality. So he says, then the second law, and I want you to hear, the second law is the law of giving. What an interesting place to start. I'm trying to attract. I want the law of attraction. Saying, no. You must understand this. And I want us to understand this. If you are the divine expression of life, then at least at a spiritual level, everything is already yours. Joy, harmony, peace, love, goodness, kindness. So when we go into a situation from the lower level of thinking, sometimes we go into situations we say, what can I get? How does this benefit for me? There's even a phrase that there's a radio station that everybody's playing called WIIFM, which is What's in It for Me, right? We kind of do that, right? What's in it for me? But perhaps the higher question might be, what can I give? What can I contribute? You see, the Master told us that it is better to give than to receive. And many have interpreted that to think that it's somehow bad to receive. That's not what he said. What he meant to say, and I always like to correct when possible, because I can. Perhaps what he was saying is energetically, if you'll give first, then with an expectation of receptivity, all things flow. So therefore, you might say, if you're not experiencing flow, maybe it's better to give than to try and get. But we should always live life open to our greater good. Many of you have been practicing for some time now this principle, and you don't think twice about breathing out. Why? Because you know there's another breath on its way, right? And in fact, what we discover is it's really best if you just keep breathing in and out on a regular, consistent basis. You know, so one of the keys to life, there it is. You're looking for the key to life, keep breathing in and out on an ongoing, regular basis. That gets the thing started. You see, right? Because what Deepak Chopra is saying to us is when we understand the principle of abundance, again, remember, the word abundance comes from the Latin root, which is abundare, which is, maybe abundare, I'm not sure, my Latin's off, which is to flow. So think about what happens if your blood doesn't flow. It coagulates. Not good. What happens if water doesn't flow? It stagnates. What happens if our love doesn't flow? It creates not good things. So when the masters are teaching us about the power of forgiveness, they're saying, give forth. Now, I know some of you are like me, or how I used to be, not anymore, because I'm much more enlightened now, but how I used to be was I am so spiritually connected. I'm so one with the divine. I'm so spiritually enlightened that I am willing to forgive you and your stupidness. Because that's just the kind of guy that I am. You're welcome. Turns out there's another level to it. If there's one, then what I began to realize that is everything that is showing up in my life is some reflection of me. The things that I judge most harshly are often the things that I most need to look at. It is so much easier to see it in other people, isn't it? I watch the political discourse and I say, oh, those self-righteous fill in the blank. And then I think, wow, I share that quality. I couldn't see it if I didn't have it, right? And sometimes, I know it's hard to believe, but sometimes I can be self-righteous. Sometimes I can judge others. So here's what I want us to understand. When we start to understand the oneness of life, we're not saying to forgive is to make behavior okay. Not at all. We're not saying that what's happening is just, oh, forgive and forget. Or it doesn't matter because I'm spiritual and enlightened. Very often, we still need to address the issue. I speak of this all the time about what I believe good parenting involves is helping a child understand that the love for them is absolute and unconditional. There's nothing they could ever do that would cause a disruption in the force of love for them. However, there is behavior that's acceptable and there's behavior that's not acceptable. But I love you. Let's talk about your behavior. Now, we might even do so well not to stop that at a certain age and just go ahead and continue that conversation. So hear me when I say this. I am not saying let us not pay attention to the things of the world. There are things going on in our world that need to be addressed desperately. There are wars, there's environmental degradation, there are all kinds of things that need to be addressed. But the question is, from what level of consciousness do I address it? Do I work to make others be different? Do I work to make, I don't know if you've, I'm single now, so I'm not a great expert on these things, but I know when I was married that sometimes I would try and make my partner understand his limitations. Who wouldn't want to know? Especially coming from me, being so already darn enlightened. And I discovered maybe that's why I'm single. I don't know, right? Right? When we try and straighten out other people, it just, I don't know, I've only got 58 years on the planet, but so far it hasn't worked out for me. Unless I have been willing to do the inner work to be showing as the presence of the divine the way I want to, and then I can have just about any conversation. Right? When I'm showing up as the presence of the divine, I may not even get the result that I want out of the conversation. It's not about manipulation. It's about the energy and the energetic that we bring into our life experience. And so I remember reading an interview a while back with Richard Gere. And Richard Gere's fabulous, amazing actor, but he's also an amazing Buddhist. And he brings his practice into his living. And he talked about this idea that he said that no matter what he was doing or where he was, whoever he met on the way, be it a person, animal, plant, or insect, he would silently say to them, "I wish you happiness." He also went on, here's the other part, I want you to hear this. He also said it was important that this was the first thing that he thought, and that it could completely change what was going on with his interactions. You see, Mary Morrissey in her wonderful class, in this Prosperity Plus class, talks about a person that she was working with. And the young man had gone to jail, and while he was in jail, his best friend and his wife began sleeping together. He was not happy. He felt immensely betrayed, not only by his wife, but by his best friends. So you could extend, hey, you can be justified in that. But the problem with being justified in anything is it changes nothing. And so after he got out, he ended up working with Mary, and she was helping him to have a different experience. And she said, what we need to do with our forgiveness work is make it safe for anyone to walk through the corridors of our mind. There are some people in your life that are not safe walking through the corridors of your mind. And you may be one of them. Right? So she began to say, if you want, you've got to forgive. You've got to say, I wish you well. I wish you peace. I wish you happiness. And so he began to do the work. And he came up with a formula, because he got it. And basically the formula is what he started was, if you don't get run over by a bus, if a boulder doesn't fall on you, if somebody doesn't stab you 400 times, then I wish you joy and happiness and peace. Hey, it's a start, right? It's a start. And as he continued the work, more and more he could leave off the first part until he got to the point of just being able to say, I wish you joy and happiness. Right? So I find it fascinating because we'd all agree in this room we're spiritual beings, right? Yes. We all agree we believe in the oneness of all life, right? We all believe that it's inner, not outer, right? And yet we still act like it's out there and they need to change. What's that all about? I do too. But you see, this Amit Ray, who I've been reading and really inspired by, says, our greatest awakening comes when you are aware about your infinite nature. When we are aware of who we truly are. He says the true miracle lies in our eagerness to allow, appreciate, and honor the uniqueness and freedom of each sentient being to sing the song of their heart. I wish you happiness. I wish you joy. I wish you to sing the song of your heart. Now, there are people that we would withhold our love from. Right? Can we just be honest? I mean, do I need to name names? I've heard the conversations over coffee. There are those, some running for office. Doesn't matter which side of the aisle, we tend to want to make the other, right? Now, I'm not saying that we allow everybody to be who they act the way they are. I'm saying the message over and over is we must keep our hearts open. We must love those. The fundamental message that Jesus brought forward from his Jewish tradition was not it's an eye for an eye, but rather that we must love, we must forgive, we must bless those who would harm us, we must know the spiritual truth and reality for all. That is where the good comes from. Now, you can maybe you've done this experiment. I did this experiment for a long time. I did this experiment that if somebody wronged me, then I would do things to get even. And peace broke out across the land. Because now we're even. However, turns out that not everybody has the same sense of evenness. And so they thought my scale was a little heavier. So they wanted to balance the scales and get even with me. And at some point, full-blown war broke out and everybody died. Oops. Now, I did this enough times to realize that maybe there's another strategy. And so when I began to really take to heart these teachings and to really understand that everything that I see is through my own perceptual filter. It does not, hear me, it does not say that behavior does not need to be addressed, but it is how we address it. From what state of consciousness do we see the other as a divine child of the living Spirit who's just acting badly? Jean Hughes has a phrase that I stole many years ago and continue to use. She says, it's just recognizing their unskilled behavior. How many of us have unskilled behavior? Right? It doesn't mean you're an awful person. It just means you're not skilled yet. Now, the problem is when we continue to do the unskilled behavior thinking that somehow that will make it better. It is that when we learn that we are growing, we are evolving, we are loving one another, and we will address together what in a world that works for all. How do we treat each other? You see, I'm seeing that we're in this unique point in history where we're profoundly aware of all of the different people, all the different types of people, all of the different things that we have. And we either not just tolerate, but celebrate. It's not about tolerance. As a gay man, I had people say, well, I'm cool with that. Didn't ask for your permission. Sorry, but thanks. I'm glad right? Oh, now I'm gonna go there. I wasn't gonna go there. Now I'm gonna go there. I have never gone up to a heterosexual person and said, "I just want you to know I'm okay with your straightness." Right? Just want to let you know, it doesn't bother me. I know. So, oh well. Less coffee next week. Remind me, less coffee. Right? But it's the celebration. If we are all divine beings, let us celebrate that. The 7 billion ways that Spirit has shown up uniquely, never repeated. Isn't that amazing? So let us celebrate that. Let us honor the highest that is within us. Let us honor the highest that is in others. Let us certainly address unskilled behavior. But let us do it from a place of love and compassion and understanding, knowing that as we work together, we create a world that works for all. Amit Ray says to us, it does not matter how long you are spending on the earth, how much money you have gathered, or how much attention you have received. It is the amount of positive vibration you have radiated in life that matters. You see, our ego wants to make it about stuff, about fame, about fortune. But if we really understand who we are, it is how much positive, loving, good energy that we're creating and putting into the world. Jesus said to us, don't hide your light under a bushel. In other words, he was saying, let your divine light shine brightly. Let your being be a blessing to the world. Can we walk through the world blessing everyone? May you be happy. May you be at peace. May you experience love. May you experience joy. There's work to be done in our world. But what I have discovered time and again, because I never got it right the first time, is that when I work at the level of condition, when I work at the level of circumstance, I tend to only recreate different circumstances that look kind of like the old circumstances. But when I can work from the level of consciousness, of my recognition of who I am as a divine being, and therefore the recognition of all people everywhere as divine beings, then something shifts. And something powerful and loving can happen. We may still need to have the difficult conversation, but the difficult conversation can be held in love and in honor and with compassion. I don't know. Maybe you don't have any people standing in your mirror pointing out areas of darkness. Good on you. But for the other 99.9% of us, isn't it just better to look at that and say, it's not you. There's some part of me that is yet to be healed, and thank you for helping me see that. And if I can approach it from that level, then yes, I can have a new and more empowering conversation. I can recognize my own light, and I can choose again and again and again to allow my light to shine brightly. When you go out of here today, not everybody will have heard this message. I just want to remind you that. But you have. And so your choice is, will I bring forth love? Will I bring forth forgiveness? Will I bring forth compassion? Will I bring forth the light? Because it is written that each of us has a ripple effect. That it is the amount of positive vibration that you have radiated in your life. And that's all that matters. Let us pray. As we take this moment to simply breathe into the consciousness that we have established, This recognition and this realization of the one life, ever present, always available, that delights in its self-expression. And as we sense and we feel and we know our connection and our kinship with all life, we are reminded that each of us stands as a point of light, as a point of love, as a point of truth. So we join together in the knowing in this moment that this one life is our very presence, our very being. And so we call forth the highest that is within us. We call forth the presence of peace, the presence of joy, the presence of love, the presence of abundance. We know that wholeness is our true identity, and so we allow that wholeness to reveal itself as health, as well-being, as vitality. We know that love is indeed the only reality. And so we choose unconditional love for ourselves, for others. We choose to be in this state of grace, of understanding, of compassion. And we choose to experience divine flow, to be abundant beings. We graciously and joyously participate in the flow of life. We joyously receive and joyously give of divine being. As I recognize this truth, I'm simply reminded that in truth, there's only this one life and all is well. I lift up my consciousness, I lift up my eyes to the truth, and the truth sets us free. I invite you in this moment, if there's a challenge, an issue, an area that is not resolved, let this be the moment that we put it on the high altar of forgiveness, that we release that which no longer serves us and choose a new path forward. We release ourselves from the shackles of the past and step boldly and confidently into a new way of being in the world. How grateful I am for this awareness and for this truth. I know that we are already blessed. The peace is only a thought away. And so as we are moving forward, we do so with joy, recognizing the many blessings of our lives. I celebrate and know this right here and right now, and as we celebrate these blessings, we extend a blessing. We bless this spiritual community, this divine idea unfolding. We bless every good thing. We bless our brothers and sisters around the planet. We bless the planet herself. We're knowing harmony and peace and wisdom and understanding. And as always, we take a moment to bless all priests, all rabbis, all ministers, all teachers of every faith. We celebrate the diversity of pathways to divine understanding and unfoldment. How good it is to live in a state of oneness, of joy and peace. So for all of these blessings, I'm simply giving thanks. I'm giving thanks for a law that operates upon the consciousness we establish, bringing forth the highest good for all. And so it is with profound joy and gratitude that I release this word, allowing it to be so, as together we say, and so it is.